Hello.
Welcome to Paranormal Partners.
Eric and your weird introductions. I feel like that people just shut our podcast off after you
like
say hello. Is that your Halloween hello?
That's my vampire.
Oh, yes, because we're doing vampires.
Vampires. Count vampires.
Ah, well.
1, 2.
That makes sense.
Mine's on the vampire from Sesame Street. He has a dark back.
Oh, the Count.
Yeah. So, Count was actually witness to his parents' murder as a kid. Uh-huh. His entire family got murdered. And he grew up in a big family. And his murderer had a shotgun, and he shot each person. And he was hiding in the cabinet. And it was too big of a family to count who's who. He had like 9 family members. So he'd count the gunshots. And that's why he counts all the time. He's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's so dark.
Why?
Oh my God.
Should I cut that?
I don't know.
That's a really weird tangent, guys. I'm sorry, I just took it there.
Oh my God. It's funny though. So do we have any updates? I'm trying to think. I mean, it is almost Halloween. We're 11 days away. And
shout out
what?
Children.
What?
People, if you want kids, you should have kids. Or if you don't have the ability to, you should adopt. Children are amazing.
What does that have to do with anything?
I don't know. I just wanted to shout something out today. And I think kids need a little
Clearly, we are a
appreciation.
very unscripted podcast.
I'm a little bit off the rails today. I don't know what to say.
I was going to say we recently went to Rocaberry Farm, which is a pumpkin patch and like haunted house
Eagle
place.
Lines are too long. It's good, but we didn't even get to go to all attractions when we went really early.
Yes, and then we went to... So, Rocaberry Farm is a pumpkin patch that also has, like, haunted houses where people jump out at you. And then we went to Eagle, like Eric was saying, which has really, really great haunted houses that people put on. But, yeah, the lines were, like, so long that we didn't even get to do one of them. So, yeah, but it was super fun. I personally loved Eagle, like...
Me too.
Even though I only did 2 houses there, and I was like...
They do a good job.
So awesome.
It's pretty professional.
Yeah, one of them was like a 3D jungle, and I felt like I was in Avatar, and you wear like 3D glasses.
It totally felt like you're on Pandora.
And then there's like all these people that like are dressed up as like flowers
that was
and
my
vines
favorite
and stuff.
personally.
Yeah, that was so cool.
It's such a memorable thing.
I loved it.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Just a special, or not a special, I guess, but just an apology to you guys. We got done with a recording last time and we realized our microphone had destroyed us or did not work out on us. And I just wanted to apologize if our mic quality sounded a little bad.
Also, I just realized today, and I forgot to tell you this, that on Spotify, and I don't know the other ones because I only have Spotify, but you didn't put what episode our last one was. The Screams in the Philippines. That was episode 13.
Yum.
So this is episode
Yummy.
14. A lot of times we're recording and then editing the same day late at night. So
we are very busy people.
We're so busy, but we love doing this. So.
We love doing this, yeah. If you guys have any suggestions or comments, please let us know. Yeah. We both work really hard to fit this into our schedule, and we love it. We love you, and we love the kids. So remember, adopt, have kids, and make sure they have a good Halloween this year.
Also, I forgot. I went to somebody else's ghost tour this weekend to like quote scout them out. And I don't want to talk about it this episode because I want to do a special episode on like mediums or like psychics or something. But I had a super awesome experience with the lady who led it. Sorry, she's an acclaimed psychic or acclaimed medium, and she like channels spirits. And my family, I went there with my mom, my aunt, my grandma. We had like the craziest experience ever during the seance portion, and like there's not a doubt in my mind that she actually did contact a family member that has passed away in my family. So I'll tell you guys about that on a later episode because we're crunched on time and I want to tell you about vampires.
Yes, so go ahead,
with that,
Jade.
I shall just jump right in.
Jump. Yeah? Splash.
Okay. Didn't you make fun of me for saying blah, blah, blah?
Yeah, Jade always says blah, blah, blah.
Because that's totally what vampires say.
Yeah, it's fair. Oh, Tokyo Ghoul. If you like anime and you like vampires, Tokyo Ghoul is good.
He's not a vampire.
It's not vampires, but they're basically vampires.
No, not really.
It's very similar, people.
Okay. Anyway.
I personally consider them vampires, basically.
But they eat people. They don't just, suck their blood.
Okay,
well, anyway, I'm going to get into it.
Okay.
So, what is a vampire? Let's just start from the basic root.
Oh, Tokyo Ghoul. See? Right there, Tokyo Ghoul.
Oh, stop it. There are almost as many different characteristics of vampires as there are vampire legends. But the main characteristic of vampires, or vampires spelled P-Y-R-E-S at the end, pyres?
Yeah, that's a vampire with a P-Y-R-E-S.
Vampress.
Is it?
Is it Vampress?
No, I think, so a pyre, P-Y-R-E-S.
It's like pyre, like a fire?
Like a volcano, yeah. So I think that's,
Vampire.
That's like pyres that, eat other pyres.
Okay, interesting.
Like geologically. Like Yellowstone eats Mount St. Helens. That's a vampire. A vampire, is a human that drinks other humans' blood.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, well, I guess you took the words out of my mouth. Their main characteristics are they drink human blood. And they typically drain their victims' blood using their sharp fangs, killing them and turning them into vampires. Now, I don't necessarily know that they're, dead, though. It says they kill them,
I think it depends on lore. I mean, first of all, vampires are dead. Yeah. So, even if they turn them into a vampire, they'd die.
Are they dead, though?
It depends, I guess.
It almost seems like they're in this, weird zombie kind of state where they're, dead but undead, but also, do they ever really die? Because,
that's the folklore.
Think about Twilight. You don't just die, you just turn into a vampire.
I've never seen it.
Okay. Well,
I think there's two different kinds. What I'm going to talk about later is the human vampire, as in a dark person who does rituals and witchcraft and is still human and is mortal. Or we could talk about the supernatural vampire, the blah, 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 I'm a bat and drink your blood. And probably dies to garlic kind of thing.
Well, yes. So anyway, so in general, vampires hunt at night since sunlight weakens their powers, or at least that's what the lore goes. And some may have the ability to morph into a bat or a wolf. Vampires have super strength and often have a hypnotic, sensual effect on their victims. They can't see their image in a mirror and cast no shadows. Seems like vampires are always supposed to be this sexy figure, but they're all actually horrifying if you think about it.
I don't know. Nosferatu's got that.
No.
Arr.
So, interesting. This one says, we were talking earlier about Bram Stoker. It says that it's thought that Bram Stoker named Count Dracula after Vlad Dracula.
Yeah.
So, like I was saying, Bram Stoker's the one that created Dracula. Sorry, we were debating about this earlier. So Bram Stoker named Count Dracula after Vlad Dracula, also known as Vlad the Impaler. Vlad Dracula was born in Transylvania, Romania. He ruled this one place in Romania. I'm going to try to pronounce it. It's probably wrong. Wallachia? Wallachia. We'll go with that. Off and on from 1456 to 1462. Now, I heard that Dracula is as close as it gets to... It's in Romanian or something. It means devil or something.
Yeah, it means devils. I forgot.
I think it's Dracul.
Dracul means devil.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I guess I should have looked into that more, but yeah. Vlad Dracula, I don't think was his full name, or it was a name that was given to him. Dracula.
I can't remember. I think his father might have been Dracul.
It might have been.
I don't know.
It might have been. Anyway, some historians describe him as a just yet brutally cruel ruler who valiantly fought off the Ottoman Empire.
Evil. He's despicable.
Yeah.
I do not think of him as just but cruel.
I don't think of him as just but cruel either, but like people of the time did.
No, yeah, that makes sense. People are crazy.
So he earned his nickname because his favorite way to kill his enemies was to impale them on a wooden spike or a wooden stake.
That's interesting because that makes me think about a stake through the heart.
Exactly. See the similarities. They say that the way to kill a vampire is to drive a wooden stake through his heart. And Vlad the Impaler's favorite way to kill people was to put their hand on a wooden stake. So.
And they also say the way to kill a Romanian is by adding too much garlic to their dish. So that's probably...
That's how you kill anybody. Honestly, too much garlic is an overkill.
Yeah.
Yeah, but basically he would do that to make a statement to his enemies, like, don't mess with me kind of thing.
He would do... Side note, I've just read it in the history.
Yeah.
And he was, it's not just his enemies, people. It's anyone who wouldn't kiss the ring.
Yeah.
He was also devout with religion. He would make people disown their religions. And if they don't, like, I know for sure Jews, he would nail their skull caps into their skulls if they wouldn't take them off. But he also practiced a lot of witchcraft and Satanism.
Yeah, so there's, like, I don't know if this is necessarily true or not, but there's a lot of, like, gory tales that say that he enjoyed dining amidst his dying victims and dipping his bread in their blood.
Hey, I mean...
But that would make sense if, like, if Dracula or the vampires, like, came out of this tale. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This legend.
You know, I can imagine him, like... just being insane and doing that every day and just feeling like so evil. Mm-hmm. And then one day he's just like, what am I doing? It's like, this isn't like doing anything for anyone. People just think I'm crazy. I guess it worked.
So vampire superstition thrived in the Middle Ages, especially as the plague decimated entire towns. The disease often left behind bleeding mouth lesions on its victims, which, to the uneducated, was a sure sign of vampirism.
AKA herpes. Ooh, miss me with that vampirism.
I don't know necessarily herpes, but it says the plague caused that.
Oh.
Sorry. But also I could see how if someone had herpes, I don't know if that was a thing then. If someone had HIV, or not HIV, HSV?
Not
HPV. That's cancer, right?
No, I don't.
Human papilloma.
Is that
papilloma? Yeah, it is. It's like
medical studies
cancer.
with the paranormal partners.
I don't know. I'm a historian. I'm not a doctor, but yeah. So the plague caused lesions by the mouth that people would like accuse them of being a vampire.
Leprosy. Leprosy is scary in itself. Next.
It wasn't uncommon for anyone with an unfamiliar physical or emotional illness to be labeled as a vampire. So once again, we see people who have mental illness being accused of, throughout history, like witchcraft and now vampirism and being possessed. Like all these crazy, like supernatural things were usually they were blamed for them.
Yeah,
you know?
That makes sense.
It's really sad, but many researchers have pointed to... I'm going to try to pronounce this again. Porphyria, which was a blood disorder that can cause severe blisters on the skin that's exposed when exposed to sunlight. So this is a disease that may have been linked to the vampire legend. So that's pretty interesting.
Porphyria.
Porphyria.
I don't know. That's interesting.
Kind of sounds like is it porphyrin? There was like a medieval philosopher that named...
Oh, Pythagoras?
No, there's a porphyrin. I'll just Google it.
You mean the guy with the triangles?
Yeah, Porphyrion. He's an ancient Greek mythology person, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Offspring of something born from the blood that fell when the sky was castrated by their son Cronus.
Ah, so it fell from between Uranus and the castration point.
I don't know. It's just like this
Get
Greek...
it? God jokes?
This Greek mythical thing.
I'm on fire tonight, people.
Anyway.
I'm on fire.
So
Just watch
basically,
me.
this disease caused you to get skin lesions if you walked out into the sun, which people thought, vampire alert.
Uh-oh. Quick, someone get a mirror. That's such an easy test. It's like...
Well, yeah, if you could see them in the mirror. But I don't know what mirrors were really like back then.
Yeah.
If they were as clear as they were today. So, like, someone, like, messed up making a mirror on purpose. And, like, yes, I don't see you in it. Or their mirrors were just bad.
No.
You never know.
I don't even understand how that could work. Or how that makes sense in your mind.
I don't know. Anyway, some symptoms of porphyria.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
You done?
I'm done.
Okay. Some symptoms of porphyria can be temporarily relieved by ingesting blood. And I don't know why, but I'm assuming it has something to do with, like, the iron or something.
Interesting.
I have no idea. But apparently if you ingest blood, it can reduce some of the symptoms.
Interesting.
Other diseases blamed for promoting the vampire myth include rabies or goiter.
Goiter. Oh, yeah. I know goiter.
So when a suspected vampire died, their bodies were often disinterred to search for signs of vampirism.
Okay.
In some cases, a stake was thrusted through the corpse's heart to make sure they stayed dead. Other accounts describe the decapitation and burning of the corpses of suspected vampires well into the 19th century. And I am all for this. I am all for burning corpses after people die, because then there's no way we can have a zombie apocalypse other than the people that die, like, when it happens. No chances of vampires. Anything else that could become undead and they turned into it.
Okay.
Literally anything.
Okay, I used to want to get cremated, but I've gotten really into fashion and tattoos. So it being such a big part of my life, I'm going to make a specific section in my will of the clothing I want to be buried in. And I want to also know what tattoos will get seen by people as they...
Oh, my God. Well, I'm
not
want to do the world a favor and cremate myself so that way...
Side note, no Walking Dead zombie has a tattoo.
That's true. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I should write to them and complain.
Yeah.
I'll write to them and be like, you're discriminating against me because I have a tattoo and there's no zombies with tattoos.
We're only the high-class tattoo zombies.
There's no emo zombies in the movie either. Do you know how many emo kids there are in the world? Just a thought. So... There's this person named Mercy Brown.
Mercy!
Who may rival Count Dracula as the most notorious vampire. So even though Mercy Brown isn't talked about a whole lot, apparently, it's like the quote-quote first Dracula kind of thing. Like this is supposedly, I don't know.
Okay.
Supposedly more vicious. I don't know. So, unlike Count Dracula, however, Mercy was a real person. She lived in Exeter, Rhode Island, and was the daughter of George Brown, a farmer. So, Dracula's in the States.
Ooh!
After George lost many family members, including Mercy, in the late 1800s to tuberculosis, his community used Mercy as a scapegoat to explain their deaths. It was common at the time to blame several deaths in one family on the undead.
What?
The bodies of each dead family member were often exhumed in search for signs of vampirism. Yeah.
How does that even make sense?
Mom died. Watch yourself. She might kill you. I don't know.
Mom's dead.
Well, I mean, okay, it does make sense from, like, a logical standpoint. Like, that person died because maybe they had a disease or something, and, like, they caused you to die. Even though they're dead, they gave you the disease or something. But, like, yeah, just back then, that was just the thing. It's to, like, blame it on supernatural things. But, like, science and everything was way different back then.
Yeah.
So, that makes sense.
AKA people are cray-cray.
When Mercy's body was exhumed and she didn't display severe decay, which was not surprising since her body was placed in an above-ground vault during a New England winter. So her body would have, like, frozen, basically. But back then they didn't really know. So the townspeople accused her of being a vampire and making her family sick from her icy grave. So they cut out Mercy's heart, burned it, and then fed the ashes to her sick brother, which I don't know why. How would that solve the problem?
Oh
And
my God.
perhaps
Can you imagine if doctors would do that stuff now? They're like,
like writing on their
gosh.
clipboard. They're like, yeah, I'm going to
Yeah.
prescribe you your dead brother's heart.
Yeah, we're going to cut off a toenail too, just to put in there a little consistency.
Yeah, so perhaps not surprisingly, her brother died shortly thereafter. So that's the last they ever really heard of Mercy. I think that's the last death that she was blamed for, and they thought that solved the problem.
Okay, well, I think that is the stupidest story I've heard in my life.
I agree, it's pretty
And
dumb, but
I think Mercy needs some mercy here.
hey,
She's innocent.
doctors had to learn somehow, like
Some doctors are evil. Plague doctors are evil. Okay?
show off your plague doctor tattoo.
Yeah.
So, although modern science has silenced the vampire fears of the past, people who call themselves vampires do exist. Which that's what I have a fun story about. They're normal seeming people who drink small amounts of blood in a perhaps misguided effort to stay healthy.
Oh my.
Communities of self-identified vampires can be found on the internet and in cities and towns around the world. And I actually was like looking up some of these like self-identified vampires.
Are they real?
And they're creepy. Yeah, they're really creepy.
You need to show me some of them.
I'll show you some videos. Like I just Googled it on YouTube and you can find like real people who claim to be vampires. Yeah, it's super weird.
Gosh, that's just an edgy kid that grew up and didn't grow up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
It says to avoid rekindling vampire superstitions, most modern vampires keep to themselves and typically conduct their feeding rituals, which include drinking the blood of willing donors in private. So it is kind of nice that they usually take willing donors, but I did watch a video where, I think it was in 85, this guy came upon a girl who was like she seemed confused and she was like walking around on this like road.
You watched this?
Yeah. Well, not the real footage, but
okay.
The guy's talking about it because it happened to him. Like he was the one that came across her and it was in an interview. She was apparently walking around all confused and he like asked her if she was okay and she got in the car and she was handcuffed and she was like completely out of it and she said that she had been hitchhiking and this man stopped to give her a ride and the second she got into the car he like put up a fight with her and took her back to his house where she said she stayed handcuffed in the bathtub.
Oh my.
And she woke when she came to because he knocked her out. She had a needle in her arm and he was taking her blood from her. And then he apparently claimed to be a vampire and would like drink her blood. Until she got lucky.
You get so many diseases, people.
Yeah, that is pretty disgusting. But also that poor girl. And she managed Eric. Yeah, so she escaped out the bathroom window.
Dang.
And got very lucky that guy found her.
She got shanghaied.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but yes.
People in Shanghai wake up in bathtubs without kidneys.
That's really sad.
Yep.
Anyway, some vampires don't ingest human blood, but claim to feed off the energy of others. Many state that
emotional vampires. Those are the worst.
Well,
I believe in emotional vampires.
Many state that if they don't feed regularly, they become agitated or depressed. So with that being said, I do have a very interesting story from someone who encountered a vampire in 2011.
Okay, let's hear it.
A supposed vampire. So this is like a more modern case of vampire. So it says, "Hi guys. It was in 2011. Well, the title of it is So I Met a Vampire. So it was in 2011. Back then, I was very engaged in political activism, and I ended up organizing an Occupy movement in the city I was living in, along with some other fellows." She said, "I'd rather not." I don't know. I just assumed it was a she. Maybe it is a she. Maybe I knew that subconsciously. I'd rather not give any names or locations to preserve the guy. But we camped in a downtown square for about 4 months. Throughout this period, a lot of people came in and out, and by the second month, I had to travel to another city where my parents were living for a week. When I came back to the occupation, there was this guy living there that arrived exactly when I left. He somehow already had some respect from the other people in a very short period of time. So basically this would be so hard. They're camping out in the town square in like little tents. And like there's like this little community of them. And she left. But yeah, when she came back, this guy was there. He was tall, blonde, long hair, a bit hippie, and had a profound voice that implied self-confidence.
Hey.
He had, by some means, a strange aura. Aura. That's how you say it, right?
Aura.
Well, it's spelled like that, though? A-U-R-A?
Yeah, aura.
Aura is spelled O-R-A.
Nope.
Okay, aura. But okay, no big deal. Seemed like a cool guy after a while. With time, he became my friend, and we ended up having long conversations about pretty much everything that interested me and vice versa, like occultism, magic, UFOs, etc., until he brought up the vampirism subject, which I was not familiar with at the time. He explained to me some stuff like that vampires were actually normal people that could manage their own life force, and apparently they have been misinterpreted since always. And he told me that there are some secret vampire groups, small ones, that preserve their rituals. There was no blood-sucking going on, as he had said that blood was an analogy to life force. So, this is where that whole thing comes in.
Okay.
They were not actually sucking it from people, but they could indeed suck somebody's life force. But more important, he said, was to know how to use your own life force. The conversation finished there. The whole thing seemed interesting to me, and after a while, we went to sleep.
We?
Well, I mean, they were living in this little encampment.
Okay.
So, some days later, here's what happened. My house was quite close to the occupation, and once in a while, some of my friends would often ask me to use my bathroom to have a shower, and then this guy asked me the same. I said yes, no problem at all. Everything went fine. The guy had a shower, and when we were walking back to the occupation, he brought up the subject about vampirism again. This time, he was wearing an anonymous plastic mask, which completely covered his face. Which, at first, when I first read this, I was like, that's really weird. How would you not be super sketched out? But I just remembered they're doing, like, a political activist movement. Yeah. So it probably wasn't all that weird. So he starts to explain to me how one can control his own life force inside the dreams and how that would affect the actual material body. Meanwhile, he's explaining to me that as he's explaining that to me, I see his jaw making a strange movement, as if there was something stuck between his teeth and he was trying to clean it. When he finished the explanation, he calls me by my name and raises the mask slightly so I can take a look at his mouth. And then I see this huge canine tooth. He pulls down the mask. I didn't know how to react, so I just remained calm, and I asked him what that was for, if they didn't actually suck blood from other people. And he told me it worked out as sort of an antenna to capture different vibrations, and he managed to construct, quote, quote, construct it by molding his life force into that shape inside his dreams.
AKA Amazon.com/fake vampire tooth.
Well, okay, but this person went on to say, in just a second I'll read it, but say, like, she didn't see him do anything. Like, no, his hands weren't moved up there, and, like, she didn't see him pull it away. But let me keep going.
But he was in the shower, though.
Yeah, that's true. But listen, it says, and he asked me if I would be interested in doing the same. I told him that it sounded interesting, and just let me think about it. We arrived at the occupation as if nothing had happened. I didn't see any strange movements by his hands, trying to insert a fake tooth in his mouth, or trying to remove it after. The sensation I got was that he pulled the tooth out by a jaw movement. The whole thing was just very strange to digest. I didn't know what to do, so I called my friend, and he just said that the whole story sounded too crazy to be believable. We still lived together in the occupation for a while, but I never brought up the subject again. The guy totally noticed my attempt to avoid it, so he didn't push me either. There was another strange fact after a while. Once he was shirtless and crouched, organizing some stuff inside his tent, and the muscles on his back formed the shape of a winged dragon. It was incredibly similar.
That's crazy.
It was incredibly similar to another girl that was at the occasion who witnessed it and freaked out a bit. So the occasion eventually finished, and that guy ended up dating a girl that he met there, and they both had a kid. I don't know if it's the same girl that had the dragon tattoo. But
My opinion, is it's a fake tooth. He's an edgelord. And, yeah.
What about the dragon, though, on his muscles?
I don't know.
My only thought, like, my only rational... Well, not rational, because I believe in it, like, all this kind of stuff. I believe in vampires. But the only thing I could think of is, like, sometimes white ink tattoos can look like they're your skin and not, like...
There's scarification. I don't know.
And stuff like that.
I don't know. I think it could have been a coincidence, and then they were just, like... They're sketched out by him. Like, I think he's this edgy, like, edge boy, but, like, charming in a way that he can get people to, like... They're like, damn, he's a vampire.
Maybe. There's a really funny comment on here, and this guy said, life force sucking vampires? Yep, they exist. Around here we call them wives.
Wow, that's rude.
Yeah, this poor guy. Okay, tell me what you got. I personally think that this guy could potentially be a vampire, but...
No, don't believe it.
Okay.
He's like, I'm a vampire.
Stop.
Big ass buck teeth.
Tell me what you got.
SpongeBob teeth. All right.
Show me what you got.
Countess Bathory. Okay. So, her name is Elizabeth Bathory. And she's gained, like, the title of being a vampire. So, let me see. So, there's a lot of weird stuff about her. She is also, I think she's from Romania, similar to Vlad the Impaler. And it is interesting because it's around the same time, too, but she has been noted to be just as evil.
Really? Well, I'm not surprised.
She is in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the most prolific serial killer. Most prolific female serial killer of all time. Yeah, so she married a man, and he gave her, like, a castle. It was called the Countess.
What?
It's called Cactus or whatever. So she was left alone a lot. Her husband was at war, and he studied a lot. And so she was left to her, like, her lonesome. So
that's sad.
She took her alone time on terrorizing the young woman surrounding her. So she methodically lured the women in, promising jobs for peasant women and lessons in etiquette for those of lesser gentry. She established an elaborate set of impossible rules for them to follow, and when they inevitably failed to follow her code, she delighted in punishing them in new and interesting ways. These included, but were not limited to, severe beatings, burnings, and mutilations of the hands, face, or genitalia.
Dang.
Eating of the woman's flesh, biting their face or arms, dousing them.
Oh my god.
Dousing them in water and sending them out in the snow to freeze, performing amateur botched surgery on them, starving them, and sexual abuse.
Holy crap. All of this while her husband's away? Why couldn't she just get, like, a bath bomb and a bottle of wine and, like, take a bath
Start
and
crocheting.
chill? Yeah, knit, lady.
So, her husband, although often away, very much delighted in his wife's ingenuity and made suggestions on how she might innovate in her practices. One of his most famous ways that he told her to was to cover girls in honey in the middle of the summer and tying them down outside to be bitten to death by insects.
Oh my god.
Not nice.
What an evil man. I hope he died in war.
I mean,
did he?
They're both pretty bad, and I don't think so.
I mean, yeah, they're both evil, but
like I said,
condoning it.
She managed to kill 650 women. That's the highest count that they could get. They don't know an exact amount.
How did she not get caught? Like, what did she do with the bodies?
She just left them in her castle.
What the?
And then in her castle.
She just had a pit
of
bones?
She was noble. Like, people could get away with that stuff a lot. So, after court, I think the Catholic Church came into court for her. Her 4 accomplices were tried and killed on the spot. But the Countess escaped this fate only because of her family name.
Interesting. And
another fun fact about her name, I can't remember her husband's last name, but she refused to take his name. They were engaged at the age of 10.
What?
Yeah, they married at 15. Long engagement, I guess.
Wow.
they had a rocky engagement.
Yeah, because they were too busy.
Give me my sippy cup.
I'm saying they're too busy fighting over, like,
who gets the kick on the kickball team.
The pacifier, yeah.
Just kidding. If you're 10 through 15, I know then you don't have a sippy cup.
Or a pacifier.
And if you do, you know what? More power to you.
It's fine. No one has to know.
Yeah, so...
What's her last name again?
Bathory.
Bathory, okay.
So she kept the name, and he actually assumed her name, too. And that's how noble they were.
Well, yeah, a lot of people did that, like...
So she was placed under house arrest and then died 4 years later.
Dang.
So in her hearing, her trial, the stories of her sadistic serial murders were verified by the testimony of more than 300 witnesses and survivors, as well as physical evidence in the presence of horribly mutilated, dead, dying, and imprisoned girls found at the time of her arrest.
Can I just say that house arrest honestly doesn't even sound that bad? If I was on house arrest, I'd be like, oh, darn.
Oh, darn.
Can't leave the house.
Think about it without internet, though. I'd want, like, a paddle ball.
Oh, you mean, like, if I was her?
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't have killed 650 women. So.
Hey, without internet, what else are you going to do? So, she has the nickname, the Blood Countess. And also, even the nickname Countess Dracula. She has earned the title second to Vlad himself.
Interesting.
So, she is super famous, and it is all brought because of her vampiric tendencies.
I always wondered who Dracula's wife would be.
So she would purposely bathe in the blood of virgins to keep a young appearance.
What the?
She would, and also,
how come nobody talks about this?
I don't know. And also, just a side thing, killing and eating people definitely sounds like a vampire. And I don't think it's that common unless your last name is Dahmer. So there's a couple theories about the reason that she's so... So during her childhood, she suffered multiple seizures.
Caesars? Little Caesars? Pizza?
Pizza.
It's hot and ready.
So she suffered multiple seizures that may have been caused by epilepsy, and that might have stemmed from inbreeding of her parents.
Oh.
That happened a lot with royalty.
Maybe that's why they delayed the wedding.
And, honestly, I personally believe, as far as mental health goes, a step in the right direction is looking at seizures, because I think a lot of problems and insanity is actually caused by seizures.
Yeah, we talked about that on our episode about demons with the Emily Rose, the exorcism of Emily Rose, the girl that was based off of. She suffered from seizures, and after that, her symptoms started, the demonic. Yeah,
I think that seizures have a big part of that stuff. So, at the time, symptoms relating to epilepsy were diagnosed as falling sickness, and treatments included rubbing blood of a non-sufferer on the lips of an epileptic or giving the epileptic a mix of non-sufferer's blood and a piece of skull as their episode ended.
Wait, what now?
So, people who'd have epilepsy, the cure would be putting blood of a non-sufferer on the lips.
Ugh.
Or drinking blood with a piece of skull in it.
Why, so you can get AIDS along with epilepsy?
I mean, apparently it actually works.
Actually, I don't even think AIDS was a thing. Well, it wouldn't have been a thing in Europe at that time.
So, they were... this speculation is saying that because of her problems of the seizures as a child being fixed by the blood, she found a deeper fascination in what blood can do.
Blood? That makes sense.
And I mean, if you're going to go feed a little kid blood, I think that's pretty fair to say that they're going to be pretty warped.
Yeah.
So another way to explain it was people say that her family trained her to be cruel. She was born and taught to be cruel. They would purposely have her witness brutal punishments and people being executed by her family's officers. And so, I mean, that growing up would be pretty scarring on the mind, I bet. And they also taught her Satanism and witchcraft at a young age by family members.
Dang.
It's pretty dark stuff.
Yeah, that makes, like, in a way it makes sense because they thought women were weak and they probably wanted her to become hardened and tough and strong and, like... it's insane. So, at the age of 13, this is a little side note that's, like, really racy. At the age of 13, before her first married, engaged 10, married 15. Her first
marriage, she gave birth to a child.
Oh.
The child is said to have been fathered by a peasant boy who was supposedly given away to a local woman that was trusted by the Bathory family. The woman was paid for the act, and the child was taken to Wallachia.
What?
I just made the clues. Wallachia, that's Vlad's.
Oh, yeah.
That's Vlad's town. What if she is the mother to Vlad? We need to look at dates later.
Yeah, I was going to say, when was
Wait, let me look
this,
up some
though?
dates right now.
Because now...
Okay, let's see, people. 1560.
I think Vlad was before that. Yeah, he was before that. He was like 14 something.
Wait. 1476. Dang it!
But that doesn't mean... So 15, 16, 14 what? 70?
So 13, so it'd be 1573.
And when was Vlad?
Like 100 years before. So
close!
It's a little... Okay, whatever.
But it is the same area. That's interesting.
That's a weird coincidence, right?
Yeah.
And that's before her span of insanity.
Yeah.
She's 13 at the time.
Yeah.
So for her son to go to Wallachia, that is an insane, like, coinky-dink.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, she must have cheated on her fiancé then, because it said it was a peasant boy.
Yeah.
I wonder how common that stuff was back then.
Well, it sounds like they agreed to it for money.
No.
Yeah, because she said that...
The woman who took the child to Wallachia was paid for.
I get it now.
Okay, so when she was under house arrest, this is a little note on her death. She was kept in a bricked room She was kept bricked in a set of rooms with only small slits left open for ventilation and the passing of food. She remained locked in there for 4 years until her death, and then on the evening of the 21st of August in 1614, Bathory complained to her bodyguard that her hands were cold.
Oh.
And then he replied, "It's nothing, mistress. Just go lie down. Drink some blood. You'll be fine." Okay, not the last two sentences. She said, and then she went to sleep and was found dead in the following morning.
Interesting.
She's like, "I need blood." It's like SpongeBob with water. She's like, "Blood! I don't need it." So after her death...
Do they know what she died of?
No.
I mean, her hands were cold, so what...
I mean, I don't know for sure. I'd assume it was some disease.
Yeah, probably from all the blood.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So she was buried in the church of on November 25th, 1614. But according to some sources, due to the villagers' uproar about having the Blood Countess buried in their cemetery, her body was moved to her birth home of Exed. Exed. Isn't that... Didn't you say Exed?
I said Exeter. Exeter, Rhode Island.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Sorry, I keep thinking about it.
Eric's like the aliens guy that's making all the connections in that room.
Vampires. Where was interred at the Bathory family crypt. But this is the creepy part. Mm-hmm. The location of her body today is unknown now.
Interesting.
And then also church or castle do not bear any markings of her possible grave. So I have no idea.
I'm assuming, honestly, some grave robbers probably stole her body.
Or she rose from the dead and she's killing.
She rose from the dead, and that's why they can't find her body.
Yeah, I think that's the more likely one of the two.
I agree.
Shout out Rodrigo Salazar, our fan on Facebook and a friend of us personally, for giving us the topic. Hello, we miss you. I hope you're doing well.
Or should we say hola?
Hola.
Because they're from Argentina,
or should I say,
right?
hola.
Oh my God.
So that's all we got for you, folks. Check out our merch at Paranormal AF. Like us on Facebook, Paranormal Partners. YouTube, hopefully you're watching it right here, Paranormal Partners.
Yes.
And then Apple, SoundCloud, no, not SoundCloud, sorry. Apple, Spotify, and Google Play.
Yes. Also, I recently uploaded a new article, a new blog.
Zombie Road. Go check it, people.
I'm trying really hard to keep up, but it's hard. So if you want to hear more spooky stories, check out our blog at paranormalaf.com or Paranormal Partners on Facebook.
Send us some support, send us some comments, and send
your
us your ghost stories.
Yeah.
We love it, and we love you. So
So
thank you.
Adios.